Once we create an object, we can access its properties. We reference the object name, followed by the characters dash and greater than, which together make a single arrow. And finally, the property name. Note that the property name does not start with the $sign. Only the object name starts with the $sign, because this entire reference is one variable. Because multiple instances or objects of a class can exist, if the individual object is not referenced, the script would be unable to determine which object to read from. We can then interact with this property just like we would any other variable. To display this property, we can type echo before it. To set the property, we use the object, the single arrow, the property name, the equal sign, and then our value. Let's print this property again. Now let's check this out in our console. We now see Alina Holligan, Grandma Holligan. The power of OOP becomes apparent when using multiple instances of the same class. More than one object can be built from the same class at the same time, each one independent of the others. Let's create a second object. We'll name this Recipe 2. We can then set the source for Recipe 2. Now let's print the source for both Recipe 1 and Recipe 2. Now let's run the script in the console. Recipe 1 source was first initialized with the default value Alina Holligan. We then changed that value to Grandma Holligan. Then we created a second recipe and set its source to Betty Crocker. This had no effect on Recipe 1 because Recipe 1 and Recipe 2 are separate entities. This makes for easy separation of different pieces of code into small, related bundles. Great job! We set up our recipe class to contain all the properties of a recipe object. And we've demonstrated how we can create individual objects that exist independently of other objects and can have their own property values. Next, we want to set up the actions our object will perform